everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish in on the movies. But today we are doing a Goosebumps book. We are reviewing a Goosebumps book, a Slappyworld Goosebumps book. I think it's the very first one, called Slappy Birthday to You, or just Slappy Birthday. And Marco will correct me, I'm sure, of whatever it's supposed to be. And
we're going through the whole series.
Yes, because we've only picked out a few, and
that we can rank them.
Yes,
that's what's most important on this channel, ranking.
No, it's not. Maybe Marco thinks it is, but not in my opinion.
How would you rank?
Well, I wouldn't.
Goosebumps reviews.
I don't know about that, but I wouldn't rank this as the best. But I would say it's the second best.
Second best to what? Slappy Beware?
If that's the one
yeah, it is.
I was talking about. Where everything he does, he's supposed to be evil. And
that's the second half of the book. The first half is that shitty story with the twins or whatever in Florida.
Oh.
Or was it Florida? I can't remember. It was so bad.
I like the part where nothing that happens that he thinks it's the evil. I mean, you think something bad's going to happen. Somebody's going to fall. They're going to trip. They're going to... Anything bad. It doesn't happen. And Slappy's disappointed, and that's weird because usually every kind of mischief that he wants to pull, it works. And the persons get hurt.
Well, let's move on from that because,
yes.
You're pretending like that's a good book.
The name of the main character is Ian Barker, and he has a little sister. Now, this is the thing, either I misunderstood or they made a mistake in the book, but it said it was his 12th birthday, but then it said she was 9 years old, so it can't be both.
What?
So she's either 9 or she's 12, or he's 12 and she's 9. I don't know, but It was really strange. So anyway, he has a sister named Molly.
How is that confusing?
Okay, never mind. Okay, so it's his birthday, and what does he want the most? His father plays more of a role in the book because his father he has like a doll hospital in the basement. So he gets different dolls and stuffed animals. It sounds really like mainly dolls. And he repairs them. So it's a doll hospital, which is really interesting. I can't imagine doing it. It's hard work, and there's a lot to it, depending on the kind of doll it is.
It's very similar to Night of the Living Dummy 3. I haven't read that book yet, but the episode... they had tons of dummies or whatever, and then he was able to fix dummies. The dad. Remember?
Yeah, I think, though, that this doesn't sound like there's any other dummies. It sounds mainly just dolls. Regular play dolls,
So?
And fashion dolls, play dolls, whatever.
Just because he alters it a little bit means it's completely different?
No. But anyway, that was the one thing that I noticed about this book. This is the first one in the series, but almost the entire first half of the book is you think you're reading little pieces of other books, and it was kind of boring, and I was getting pissed off and thinking, why am I having to read this? It's like a 2.5, if you listen to the book, it's like 2.5 hours. And I've been reading other books all summer long that are about 1,000 times better, but they're for adults. But I thought, this is the first one. To me, it should be, I don't know, the most innovative, or like a new storyline or whatever. In the first half, it was just pulling pieces from Night of the Living Dummy and all
1, 2, 3...
all these different, and I'm thinking, like, what the heck? Why did he even bother? But then we get to this part, and Marco says it's a little bit similar to something else, but I thought if he didn't have this part, and the part went on for quite a bit, and so I thought it bettered the book. It made it a lot better, a lot more fun to read, and made it more worth my while and more entertaining. But what happens is, he has this. They have a party, and they have cousins over, 2 of them. They're boys, and they're very mischievous. And no matter what it is, what occasion, if they come over, there's always a problem. They always pull some kind of stunt, either on Molly or Ian, and they don't really like them. I would say they don't like each other. Either Molly and those boys, or Ian and those boys. So I guess it's his 12th birthday then. That's
God, you're still gonna talk about that?
I know, sorry. I just wrote these notes and they confused me. So anyway, he has a party and they're invited, and the party is just a family thing. So, you want to go ahead?
Oh, finally. Okay, so the first half of this book was very similar, but I still thought it was entertaining. The main draw of the series is supposed to be the narration by Slappy. Like, people say, it's really cool because, you have this story and Slappy narrates it and he adds commentary, and it's like, I don't see that. Like, in any of these books, I don't see the need to have Slappy narrating. I don't even see the point, except for just like a little break or something. Like, it's just, I liked it in this book a little bit. Like, this book wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible at all. It was actually pretty good, but it still just made me feel like, why? The only reason that I can think of is he was told Slappy's really popular, so you just make Slappyworld. Just like before this, when he did that, what was it called? Like Goosebumps Horrorland? That we never read that full series either. That's very similar. It's just like, it's a cheap gimmick.
Yeah. And
especially the fact that Slappy even says "Welcome to Slappyworld" at one point, and I almost rolled my eyes because I was just like, really? Like, that felt like really, really weird. Like, just so out of place. Welcome to Slappyworld. Did you remember that, Safi?
Welcome.
Cough, cough.
Yeah, I know. I've got an itchy throat. I don't know. I just it didn't. It wasn't.
Oh, you weren't paying attention.
I didn't think it was very original.
You weren't paying attention.
Thinking. Well, I didn't think it was very original. I'm paying attention.
No, that happened in the good part, the part that you liked, when he said "Welcome to Slappyworld."
Well,
that's
just a name or a title. It was what followed that was.
I just enjoyed it, like, in general, as like a mid-tier Slappy book, because the first Night of the Living Dummy was average at best. It had a couple of really good parts about it. The ending was really good. But then the sequel was really where it got good. And it seems like now he's written so many Slappy books.
Yeah.
They just kind of like run together.
Yeah.
And the only things that distinguish them apart are these parts. Like in Slappy and Dreamland, you have the nightmare sequences where, you don't know if he's dreaming or if he's awake. And then in Slappy Beware, you have the part where he's with the kid who doesn't give a fuck. And then you have the part in this book, the twist that we'll talk about. And it's like, other than that, though, these books are just so similar in that, you could really change the titles around and it wouldn't really matter. Like, they're just kind of...
Probably wouldn't.
They're just there. And, like, I just have to wonder, like, when this series came out, was there anyone genuinely saying, like, these books are really good because we get to hear Slappy's narration? Because, like, what did he narrate? He says, like, the stupidest shit. He's like, I'm really cute. I'm the best.
He does little commercials, and then when he starts to speak in the narration of the book, it's just a few little, like what Marco just said.
I'm really cute.
Yeah.
He says that. Slappy says that in this book. And I didn't ever want to hear Slappy say that he was cute. Ever. That's bad. Like, I just picture, too, R.L. Stine's Slappy has just gotten so far from where he was... from where he was in the original series and, like, the TV show episodes. And I picture the Slappy in the TV show... I couldn't picture him doing anything in these entire books. Like, the way that he is, he's just so out of character. It's like he's a nerfed, dweeby, flamboyant, gay, Slappy version that I just am not a fan of. Like, I'm a fan of certain parts of these books, but not this Slappy.
Well, anyway. They have the party.
You disagree? You like this Slappy? You think that he's good?
No, I just think it isn't anywhere near what the original was. But the only thing I can say is if he kept Slappy the way he was, I don't know if it would be any good. Because you got to consider when people get these books, they're reading it. They're not listening to it.
How do you know?
We're listening to it.
How do you know?
Well, that's the way it used to be. I don't, maybe that's changed. Do children...
Safi, if you read the words, I'm cute, I'm Slappy and I'm cute, reading those words would not make this any better.
No, it wouldn't. I agree. Don't ask me. I just... I think listening to it's probably more entertaining than reading it.
Yeah, I mean, listening to it, it's kind of like watching a movie without the screen on.
Yeah.
Like a blind person watching a movie.
That's the thing when I read all these book series. If you have a certain reader and you get used to them and then you get a new one, they could completely change the book. The words don't even have to change. The character changes because with that person who's reading it, just like in this, they make the characters come alive without watching it on screen as a TV show.
I really don't like the readers for these Slappyworld books. I think that they're entertaining. Like if they read a non-Goosebumps book that was like a horror book, I could see them being okay, but the fact that they're doing it for Slappy and they're making him so flamboyant and weird and not how he is supposed to be is just really irritating. But I like the book, and I know that, we've sounded like we disliked it. It's just, it starts off and it's like, we've seen all this before. They have a family talent show. That's from the second book. And that's like the whole first half is just very, very by the books. Been there, done that.
Yeah. I had forgotten about that. They did this family talent show, and it was the worst that it's ever been.
It was a terrible talent show. Like
terrible.
It wasn't even entertaining. Like the one in the second book, the book and the movie, those were really entertaining. Like, remember, Safi?
Yeah.
Where the brother filmed, like, the family members, and he filmed the dad putting his wig on, and then he filmed his mom, like, pigging out on ice cream. Like, that was really, really funny and good. This was, like,
It was a nightmare.
It was like millennial cringe. Like, the cousins, they want to start a juggling YouTube channel, and so they're juggling, and then one of them knocks the other one out.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Did we ever see what the parents had talents?
No.
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 See, that was trash too. Like, these parents are like ragging on their kids and yelling at them and treating them like shit. And it's like, where's your fucking talent, you talentless whores?
And
like,
they were really insistent that they do this too.
Yeah.
And the cousins were expecting it because it really is a tradition that they do.
So that was another issue. I was like, what about the parents' talents? You know, the uncle, the dad, the mom. Like, that was bad writing, because like, they could have at least had the talent show resume at another point, and then you could see the parents doing their shitty talents, and then Slappy rags on them.
Well, I thought another interesting thing, which this would have to be with a more modern book. I don't know if they would have had. I don't know if they had this back when these books came. You know, not Slappyworld, but just the books like Night of the Living Dummy, for example. Wikipedia. And Wikipedia has been around for quite a while.
Wikipedia?
But yeah, his sister, when he gets at the birthday party, when he gets Slappy, because he does want to be a ventriloquist, he really does. So he really did want a present like this. He was real excited. She said, I want to see if Slappy has a Wikipedia page. And that's when they find out that the wood to make him is from a coffin. And that I think that he carries a curse. And then they find out that there's these certain words, but they're not on the Wikipedia page, that you can say that will make him come alive. And we all know, if anybody's read any of the other Night of the Living Dummy,
that would be a good Goosebumps trivia question. What are the words to bring Slappy to life?
There were more words than
Safi.
I thought. I thought there were like 4.
What are the words?
I don't know. Marie, Carew.
Damn you, Safi.
Etc. I don't know.
What were you going to say? Etc.?
I don't know what the rest of them are. Do you?
Carew, Curry, Modana, Melana, or Oregano.
No.
I can't remember.
I know, we should write them down, but they said them so fast. But she could not read them because they were not on the Wikipedia page.
I thought that element was cool. That was very, like, realistic, you know.
Well, I would actually like to look up Wikipedia and see if there is any, if he does have a Wikipedia page. I bet he does. I would think he does, because they do have for other characters and other books and other places. Because I've looked these things up to see, like, let's say they said the name of a town in, like Michigan or something, and I've looked it up to see if that really existed. And so it could, but they'll mention the name of a town. They'll say, this is in the such and such book, but it doesn't really exist or something like that. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see. And I hadn't had a chance to do that. I forgot about it.
So we've established that the first half of this book is a fun but flawed ride. We've established that. The second half is where the book actually gets good.
Yeah, I really liked it because I thought it was really different. And it was a little vicious and mean.
Yeah.
But it's still, that's Slappy. I mean, you're not going to, this other book, which I kind of like too, where everything he does, and he's trying to do something bad to somebody, like make them trip, or say the wrong thing, or do the wrong thing. That doesn't happen. And so I just thought that this is really him being a bad guy and doing bad things and impacting the people if he's doing it to.
It's like mean, like if you had a scale of 1 to 10 meanness, you know, level 10 is killing or raping or torturing someone. That's very mean. That would be number 10. Number 1 would be like, I don't know,
Tripping somebody.
No, like
pulling their hair?
Shooting a spitball at someone. Slappy, what he does is like at a level like number 3 or 4 out of 10. Like he never really crosses the threshold of like 5 or 6 anymore. Compared to like the first book where Mr. Wood is choking their dog and trying to kill the dog. Slappy doesn't do that.
Yeah, but he was, well, you'll see. He does inflict harm onto these cousins. And so what happened was during the party, there was the little slip of paper. It was in his pocket or something. And he said the magic words. Because, they just read this Wikipedia page. The words weren't there. So they found, they always find the slip of paper. And they read the words. And so one of the cousins grabbed the paper and read the words. Well, nothing happened. And the father took the piece of paper with him. So they didn't have it, and Slappy didn't have it either. So that was at the party, and that's back then. Now we're at what they did was the cousins went to Ian's house.
Oh, wait a second.
Okay.
We missed that weird flashback part where it was Ian's 7th birthday or something, and his dad took him to a dummy museum.
Yeah.
And they pulled this elaborate prank on him where it probably gave him post-traumatic stress disorder, and it gave him permanent scarring.
The people at the museum cooperated in this.
That was really weird.
They had a museum host, and he said he couldn't show his real face to children because it would scare them too much. And what that makes you think of is the haunted mask. Remember the guy said all these masks were his face or something, and they were really ugly, and he said, so I have to wear this mask, my face is going to turn really ugly or something. It just reminded me of that. And then his father disappears. His father is with him, and he disappears. He doesn't know where he is. He's calling him, and then all the dummies come to life in the room, in the museum display room, and then they come out and say, "Surprise! It's just a big joke. We just wanted to freak you out, and it's happy birthday." And
that whole sequence was like the biggest WTF moment of the book.
I thought it was really happening then. See, Marco told me that had happened in a previous visit many years before, and I don't know, the way it just kind of popped up and then it went away.
Slappy narrated and said, this is when Ian first started interacting with dummies. Yeah, and how he ended up liking them or something.
He did say that.
It reminded me of Terror Tower, how, they're stuck in the museum.
Mm-hmm. And all those things come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So that would be another one.
That's what I said when I was reading that whole first half. Every so often, a little piece, they'd say something, and it reminded me of another story. And it happened in the different stories. It wasn't just one; it was many different stories.
And then you get to the good part, where it turns out that the cousins stole Slappy from Ian's room at night. In
the middle of the night.
They went on a covert operation to steal this dummy.
They knew the garage door was always left open. Why would somebody leave their door unlocked so that anybody could come into that garage and come into the house? Like a bad person.
Yeah, like Safi when she's mad.
No, but anyway, that freaked. I couldn't believe that. That freaked me out. I thought that was weird. I didn't like that. But anyway, like you said, the cousins entered the house through the garage door that's always left unlocked. and go into the house, and they have to go all the way up into Ian's room. This is the middle of the night. They're sneaking around. And Ian had put the dummy, because he knew the dummy was alive, had come alive when that cousin said those words, because it had already done some mischief around their house, and he got blamed for it. And he had put the dummy in the back of his closet. Well, they had to go into that. They even had to open the door to his closet and get it out. And there's nothing in the text of the book that tells all this, how they, like a whole recount of them going into the house. They don't even talk about it at all. They just said they did it and that was it. And then they brought him back to their house. Now what happens, Marco?
Slappy comes to life.
Yeah, they discover that he really is alive.
And he's like, "Welcome to Slappyworld." and then he gives them bloody noses or something, and then he's like, "Look, I have a bloody nose too." And green goo squirts out of his nose.
But it isn't just green goo that is gross and disgusting. It burns you when it touches your skin.
That was different, because in the original book series, it's just like gross, rotten green goo. Like, it's not like gonna burn you. So I thought that was cool.
They were in pain. That's what I said. It was very malicious and bad, but still, and he really, he bopped one of the kids in the face somehow, and he could have had a concussion. And so between the burns and the concussion and them getting knocked about, they were kind of in bad shape. And Slappy said, "You're going to be my slaves, and you're going to take me back to Ian's house, and all of them, they're going to be my slaves too."
I thought that was cool, but I would like to say a side note about that, because you know how, we dealt with the whole issue of those retarded sensitivity readers who, want to ruin everything and just turn everything trash. Well, it's surprising that they didn't want to get rid of the word slave, because, there's this whole debacle where, a couple of years ago when I was on this video game platform, and I was on an anime, I don't know, a game, and I told somebody else that, they're not doing their work and they need to be my slave and do the work so that we can get the mission accomplished. And the game platform kicked me off of the game. And they said that saying the word slave is bad because of slavery in America. And it's even though the other player wasn't a black person, and even though black people aren't the only people in history to ever be enslaved, and even though you can say the word slave without meaning slavery of black people, it's that's how retarded some people are now. And so it's surprising that the quote-unquote sensitivity readers didn't take offense to Slappy saying that these kids are going to be his slaves.
Yeah. They really... I'm trying to remember what happened, but maybe you... The parents wake up, and what's happened is when they were in the garage and the kids were out, the two boys were out there with Slappy, it was a big mess. They had taken all the tools off of the walls. They were all over the floor. They got in the Slappy got the hose. He turned it on. He sprayed everything and got everything wet, everything that was in the garage, and everything was just out of place all over the floor and wet. And then their parents woke up, and was it just the next morning that they got up, or did they get up in the night?
I can't remember. I don't know.
It could be they got up in the night, but it was, early morning. and like, my God, what happened to the garage? And they said, Slappy's really alive. He did all this. We didn't do it. And of course, they weren't having it. And they got grounded for like 3 months or something.
That was the best part, was like, it was 1 month that they got grounded. That was the best part where, you know, these cousins, they turned out to be the bullies. And then Slappy, he
out-bullied them.
Yeah, he gave them what they deserved. He really, I thought that was one moment in the whole series where Slappy actually was kind of like a heroic character, because he really taught them a lesson. And but it was similar to the third book, or I guess episode, because I haven't read the book, where the cousin was pranking them, and then Slappy reveals that it's him somehow, and then remember, he gets in trouble and he's got to mow the lawn with that hand mower.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Zane.
Yeah.
That's
what it reminded me of, but I still thought it was the best part of the book. It was the part that made the book a good book.
And it saved the book, because if the book had continued on the way it was, I would have given a terrible review.
Yeah.
But this, and even though this was kind of malicious, it still saved the book, because it was
delicious?
Different. Malicious.
Oh, I thought you said it was delicious.
It was different. That's what I liked about it. And it changed it up a bit. And so what happened was the parents, I'm trying to remember, did Slappy come alive for them or not? Or did he... I don't think he did. I think he slumped down, so they didn't believe them.
Yeah.
So the next morning, they have to take Slappy back to Ian's house and apologize, and then they have to go home and they're grounded. And they have to... Well, first they had to clean up the garage. So they actually spent, the morning cleaning the whole garage up before they went to Ian's. I mean, everything had to be perfectly clean. Of course, during this time, Slappy's pretend asleep. And so then they go to Ian's house, and they said what they did, and the father just about went through the roof, because, I mean, they went in the middle of the night. They were sneaking around in their house in the middle of the night. I mean, that is bizarre. And they're related to them. That doesn't give them a right to do something like that. And so, and then they said, the cousin said, well, Slappy's alive, and you should have seen what he did to us and what he did to the garage, blah, blah, blah. And of course, the father said...
Even if Slappy wasn't alive, what they did was really, really weird.
Yeah, and Ian knew what they were saying was right, because he knew that Slappy was alive and that he could be capable of doing what happened.
So then
he didn't say anything.
And then the last part of the book was like a typical confrontation in the basement, which was similar to Bride of the Living Dummy.
Yes, and I thought of that right away.
I had an unfortunate incident happen where I was listening to it on YouTube, and the book just stopped, and I didn't hear the ending, so I had to look it up. And I saw that the little sister's doll came alive, and she destroyed Slappy by reading the words.
Wait a minute, that came out at the cousin's house, and I've never seen that.
What?
They have always wondered how to get him out of his misery. Put him out of his misery. And they said, well, they would say, let's say the words backwards. And they would, this is the first time I've seen this. Slappy tells the cousins that if somebody else, not the person who originally read them, which would have been one of the cousins, if somebody else says the words, it'll put him to sleep forever.
I thought that was kind of queer, because
I'd never heard that before.
And all the things that I've seen or read, Slappy doesn't even get destroyed by the words. He gets destroyed by other things, like in the second book, what was that? The other dummy's name? I can't remember. The other dummy
I know you're talking about.
fights Slappy, and smashes his head open, and these worms come out of his head. And that's what happens in the second book. And then, of course, in Bride of the Living Dummy, the episode, he gets chopped up in that saw. And then in the third one, he gets struck by lightning and dies. So
this was different, and the doll that the little girl has is just a regular doll. It's not a dummy.
Yeah.
Not like in Bride of the Living Dummy. And what's happened is that Ian has messed up the doll. I think the cousins have messed up the doll, and the father, like I said, he has a doll hospital. He has repaired the doll every single time that they tried to damage it. And so that doll comes to life, and it saves the people and of the family and the cousins, because what happened was cousins had run, and Ian and Molly had gone to the basement. The father's working there because they were looking for the page with the words, because they want somebody else to say those words, and the cousins told them that would put him to sleep. So that doll comes to life after there's all this scuffling and problems, and it helps to save them. Her doll.
And then, of course, there's the boring twist where she's like, now you're all my slaves.
Yeah, well, I thought that was totally unnecessary.
And I'm getting sick of those twists because they never resolve any of those twists.
Yeah, I just wish they just left that out. I think you should just let that out.
Because
she saves the day, and that's the end of the story.
That's why when I thought, what would be a good Slappy book idea is to resolve some of those twists. And so you could show, what happened in the first book after Slappy told those two girls, now you two are my slaves. Show what happened. And maybe, one of them survives or something, and years later you could have a story with Slappy with her going up against her or something. But, I'm sick of these Goosebumps books where they have these twists and they know they're never going to answer them. They know that they're going to just have these twists at the end, come out of nowhere, and you'll never get any explanation of what happened.
Yeah. I just, because what's implied is that the doll saved them so they would all be her slaves.
Yeah, that was very similar.
I was thinking that the doll would save them because the father has fixed her up 4 times in a row or something.
Yeah, that would have been a better ending.
Yeah. And and like he said, that doesn't get resolved. Everybody just moves on to Slappyworld Part 2 or
and what's the next
2.
one about? Let's see.
I don't know.
Let's look it up. What would you give it as a grade, letter grade?
Well, I guess I gave it a B. Because it would have stayed the same and didn't bring in this part. There was 3 surprises. Okay, the number 1 surprise was those cousins, not Slappy. Slappy could have gone out of the house and gone to find the cousin's house. No, the cousins got Slappy and kidnapped him and took him home. That was one change, or whatever you want to call it, to make the story better. The second one was the words. The fact that if somebody else read the words, not backwards, just read the words, that he would go to sleep, permanently go to sleep. And the third thing was that the little girl's doll, which is not a dummy, it's not a big play doll, I don't think, it's just a regular little doll, defeated him and then promptly said that everybody's their slaves, is her slaves. Those were and if any of that hadn't happened, the major things being the thing at the end, they could, like I said, they could have let that off with the girl doll saying that stuff. But the 2 things with the cousins taking the doll to their house and they're talking, and then they're finding out because Slappy tells them about the words and what can be done to put him back to sleep, and he wants to get that paper. And he actually, I forgot to say, he tore up the paper when they got to the basement. He found it just as, I don't know who, Molly was reading the words. And so if they hadn't been for that, I would have given it probably a D.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was, Marco seemed to think it was okay, but I thought it was ho-hum until then. I didn't care
Well, it's just, it's just what I expect. Like, I know that, like, he's just gonna do the same thing over and over again. Like, that's why I kind of like the Monster Blood series, because people said with that one they did the same thing over and over, but I felt like there was enough variety in each book where it felt like, they were uniquely their own thing. You wouldn't know.
I know from watching the TV shows.
Safi, the second Monster Blood TV episode was not like the books at all.
Oh, well, see, I shouldn't say anything. Marco has read quite a few of the
They didn't have
Goosebumps books.
They didn't have the budget to do the second book for real, so they made that up. I would also give this book a B, because it wasn't great. Like, I wasn't saying that the first half was great. I was just saying, it wasn't awful. Like Slappy Beware, where the first half of that book was like pulling teeth. This book, it was just like exactly what I expected. It's like you go to a fast food place. Let's see, what's the most average one, Safi?
Gee, maybe Wendy's.
No way, Jose. Well,
I don't know.
They did get rid of my fucking bourbon bacon burger and my fucking grilled chicken sandwich. I'm not happy with them.
Average in terms of what?
Like, you go there and it's just, oh yeah, they're still like they were 10 years ago. Yeah. Just get the same old crap. And
well, McDonald's has been, they've started changing some things up. It's been really gradual, but they've been pretty ho-hum. In the past years, they've been pretty ho-hum, but they've been trying to change that, I think. But it's been very gradual.
Maybe Papa John's. Like, you go to Papa John's, you get a Papa John's pizza, it's a Papa John's pizza. They did the Papadilla thing, that was kind of nice, but
I don't like all those onions.
Those are gone now.
Well, they've got a garlic thing now. They have a garlic-filled crust.
But, you go there.
I don't think I'd care for that at all.
Their pizza is just so average. It is so dull. The former owner saying the M word was the least of their concern. In regards to their pizza, like, that was the least of their problems. Like, their problems were that their pizza is trash, and it's like eating cardboard with sauce and cheese on it. This book is just like, I don't think I'll ever read this book again.
No, well, I certainly wouldn't. I've been reading this witchcraft mystery series. I think the author's Juliet Blackwell.
Oh, God,
and
Safi.
then before that, I read some kind of historic home renovation, what would you call it, haunted mystery series, and they're both written by the same woman. They take place in San Francisco in the Haight-Ashbury district at her clothing resale store, and it's just they're so good because she has done so much research for these books. And then I read something like this, and it's just like, it pales in comparison, but it's still that part. And I read a lot of books, a lot, and
that part reminded me of in the first season of Chucky, where Chucky's gonna kill Lexi, and just the whole episode you're cheering for him, and you're saying, yes, kill her, and they do that.
Say that.
I did, and then at the end, they cut it off and they did what they did. But it reminded me of that. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, but after reading all these really quality mystery books and then reading that, it still measured up because it was different and unexpected.
Yeah,
and that's what I really like.
It was way better than Dark Winds, where they ruined the characters and everything.
Yeah, this latest episode of Dark Winds are really, I haven't seen what people said, the latest comments. They just talked about the first and second episodes, how we're reviewing this too, in case you don't know, but they got a huge viewership. It jumped exponentially. But then I would think people couldn't be any less disappointed than Marco and I both were at this last episode. So we'll see I can't wait to see what people say about it, because it was disaster.
Now, for the second Slappyworld book, it looks very questionable. It looks like something that R.L. Stine wrote while he was either out of ideas or high. And it's called Attack of the Jack.
Jack-o'-lantern? No, it's
a pirate. You can't see that?
No, I'm trying to...
Are you losing your eyesight again?
No, I'm trying to think. Jack? Captain Jack?
Well, the story is apparently about these two kids visit their uncle for the summer, and they find a pirate's chest, and they open it up for some reason, and in there is an old pirate puppet with, and he's like, "Thanks for letting Sailor Jack out." And
oh my God! Why does it have to be a puppet?
That's stupid. That doesn't sound good.
Does he have a thing for puppets?
I don't want to know about that.
That's weird. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens.
Do you think when R.L. Stine was stuck at home as a kid, he made puppets and fell in love with them?
I don't know. Maybe he just... I don't know. I'm trying to think of...
because
I don't know what it is. Why they think that the Slappy story, which is a puppet story, or marionette maybe, I don't know what you want to call it. I guess not even quite a marionette. It just seems puppets seem to be smaller, but this is like in the middle.
And it makes this look even worse when you think about it as a puppet. Like, it's just so unintimidating. This little stupid
well, it looks
pirate
like a little
puppet.
gremlin.
Yeah.
Looks like it has horns
No.
on its head. What's that?
I think that's his hair.
On
No, that's
top
a
of it?
feather. That's a feather on his hat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
that's not good.
he wrote all kinds of stories about mummies and scarecrows, and I just don't understand why he decided to pick up Slappy. I don't know if that's according to the book, the rate that they sold the books, that the Slappy books or the dummy books sold better than any other book. I don't know, but he wrote quite a few different types of, the monster blood and those things under the sink, those sponges, and the ghosts, Welcome to Dead House, with the zombies and
I hope that there are some books in this series that are better, and because that's the whole point of this is, the last Slappyworld book ever was terrible. That one with the juggling and the school monsters. And so we really hope that going back through the series, we find like some really quality books, although I don't think we will, because the old books, they had their own problems. They definitely had issues that needed fixing. But these new books are all just so childish that,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what kids in the age group, which not really sure what that is, will read it, what they think about it. It's
what do you
just
mean?
that compared to reading an adult mystery book, that's where the person's done the author's done 1 million hours of research and
Well, I just know that
just grown up. It's just not the same.
I know that if I was a kid, which I was, spoiler alert, and if I was, I would not have liked this book. In fact, I would have said, and that's what I did say as a kid. I said, I'm not interested in reading modern Goosebumps books. I'll just read the old ones. Because she got me like 1 or 2 of them, and
we already had a whole collection.
They were like the.
My other son left his collection behind. Of course, he's 34 years old now. He's not interested in the collection.
Well, I am, and I'm 24, so.
I know that, but I mean, he moved on, and he moved away to California, so it's not like he could take a lot of stuff with him.
He moved on to reading girly boy books, and so.
What are you talking about?
You know, even as a kid, she got me these Goosebumps Horrorland books, and I said, I don't give a fuck about this. The only thing I liked about Goosebumps Horrorland was, I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a really cool online game. And I think every time a new book came out, they added a new part of the game. And I thought that was really cool and fun. And the best thing about modern Goosebumps, I guess. So, overall, this book was just fair, except for that twist part.
And that was really good. And also, it should be known, R.L. Stine has a son who is like my older son's age, or maybe a little bit older, maybe a year or two.
Oh, God.
So he was writing for the age group, because he would have his son, he would run the ideas by his son. And our son's all grown up, so I don't know who he's running the ideas by. If he's running them by his wife.
Well, he said in his master class, he said his wife edits his books.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty funny. Like, that'd be kind of a nightmare, in my opinion. Like, here's your homework. Here's you have to rewrite the whole book. Here you go. Dinner's gonna be ready in 30 minutes.
I don't know. That would be challenging. So we better wrap it up.
Go ahead, Safi. I've been ready to wrap it up. You're the one who's being a Sailor Jack.
Okay, so I hope if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. We try to do a mixture of different things. And right now, we're reviewing the latest season of MasterChef. And we are also reviewing the latest season, which is 2 more episodes left, of Dark Winds.
Tomorrow, Safi will be commenting on the miniseries Echoes of Darkness, because I did a review.
Echoes of Darkness?
And Safi's going to give her own little review, because I really think it's worth talking about, unlike a lot of the other things that we've been talking about on this channel.
I guess.
Dark Winds.
I like Dark Winds.
Well, they
I
fucked it up.
The Tony Hillerman.
They fucked it up.
I know. But I don't know when he thinks I'm going to watch that. But
well, you're supposed to be watching Your Honor.
Ugh.
You haven't watched that in like 5 days.
No, a couple of days. That show is depressing. And I don't like watching depressing things.
Why?
And weird stuff like Fia having Adam's baby. I'm just like, my God. Really?
You'll see what happens with that, Safi. It gets really bad.
Oh, no. I'm afraid to find out.
It's too bad, too. Like, this. Well, we'll talk about that in its own video.
Yeah, but so goodbye, everybody.
Bye.